Round 3 of the 2006 Superside FIM Sidecar World Championship. And after the UK round last time out, we've moved to the north of Holland, the Van Drenthe region and the famous circuit of Assen. Well, the sidecar's running on the new look Assen circuit for the first time, now 2.83 miles, and a heavily revised circuit that not everybody's happy with. They say it's affected the flow, but number 77, Tim and Tristan Reeves, put their team Eastern Airways on pole position. Stuart Muldoon on the outside of the front row, but there's a gap in the middle of the front row where Richard Gatt and Paul Randall should be. There's Tim Reeves just taking some water on board before the start. Second row of the grid, Mike Rocher there in 4th position with Adolf Haney. Steve Norbury there in 6th position off the back of a double podium from Castle Combe. Taro Manan there in 5th position, hoping for a much better weekend this time around. Well, Tim and Tristan Reeves lead the standings on 105 points from Manan. Andy Laidlaw and Patrick Farrance, 2 second places at Castle Combe, moved them up to 3rd. And Pekka Pivarinta in 4th. Well, huge crowds stay behind here after the MotoGP race for this 3rd round of the World Sidecar Championship, and we're about to get 18 laps underway.
So, as Ian says, MotoGP a little bit treated to something special here. Crowds sticking around, you can see by the amount that are still in the stadiums to enjoy this sidecar race, and it should indeed be a cracking sidecar race on this newly laid out Assen circuit.
Yeah, and in the background there's Richard Gatt and Paul Randall starting from the pit lane. They were due to start from the middle of the front row, but a problem on the sighting lap, and a problem there for number 17. That's Mark Barr, the Frenchman. Well, let's see what happened into that first corner, and oh, there's a spinner there and 3 outfits involved in that, and I think that's the 3 Frenchmen coming together.
Well, not a good start for them. They'll have to come now right from the back, providing they get those outfits going, but there's some good action going on at the moment, Ian.
Yeah, they look like Andy Laidlaw and Patrick Farrance in 2nd position. They started from the 4th row of the grid, 10th in qualifying, so they got a flyer off the line, and that's Stuart Muldoon and Paul Napton in 3rd. Well, that's Jean and Gregory Clues, one of the French teams, so they did not survive that first corner incident. Big shame for them.
Nil poir, I think the word will be for them at the end of this race. We'll wait and see, you never know, they might better get the outfits restarted and rejoin the race. Meanwhile, the action's thick and fast as always. It is the defending champions and the current series leaders at the moment out front. Tim and Tristan Reeves, Stuart Muldoon hanging on to that 3rd place, the wily Scott, so to speak. He's under pressure at the moment, Ian. Yeah, that looks like number 44, Pekka Pivarinta. Pivarinta's got a stand-in passenger this weekend, Timo Cardiala. His previous passenger, you may remember, got injured at Castle Combe, fell out at about 130 miles an hour and took part in the race but was fairly beaten up, so having a rest from this event, and Timo Cardiala standing in and doing a good job so far. Well, I hope he doesn't require a skin graft after the last passenger did at Castle Combe. I think he lost most of his skin on the tarmac, didn't he? Yeah, very nasty injury there, but I'm sure he'll be back for the next round at Sachsenring. But at the moment, Andy Laidlaw and Patrick Farrance putting Tim and Tristan Reeves under a lot of pressure at the head of the field. Now, Tim Reeves is carrying 30 extra kilograms on that machine, and there's Richard Gatt and Paul Randall starting from pit lane. What a disappointment that must be for them. I wonder if there's a bit of red mist under that crash helmet there. Well, the battle is on at the front. There's 4 outfits all going for this. Tim Reeves, the championship leader and the defending champion, leads it from Andy Laidlaw, who has been, I have to say, the closest man to him. Near enough at the end of last year and, of course, the start of this year. Laidlaw, a professional racer now, wants to become the world champion. I'm sure Reevesy and his brother Tim will have other ideas about that. Yeah, they won't want Laidlaw to become world champions, will they? But no. It's doing a great job so far. I was going to say the 30 kilos extra that Tim and Tristan Reeves are carrying on that LCR Suzuki as part of the success ballast brought in last year for Superside. Each race winner carries an extra 10 kilos until they stop winning. Now, Tim and Tristan Reeves, close there for Stuart Muldoon. Tim and Tristan Reeves have won the last 3 races, hence
the extra 30 kilos, and Tim's not been very happy about that. It's affecting the handling of the machine, and well, quite rightly, because it is success ballast and it's supposed to slow him down, but a lot of issues there, but it's meant that the rest of them are able to keep pace with Tim and Tris at the moment.
Well, 4 outfits, all very much on the same lap speed. The battle is now on for 5th place, and the number 55 outfit amongst that one, Mike Rocha and Harney, the passenger.
Yeah, and that's Tero Manan and Pekka Koisman involved there, and on the number 88 team, Finland Suzuki, and they were starting from 5th position, so they got a bad start, and are now trying to make their way back up through the field, putting a move on Adolf Harney there, and Mike Rocha. Are they going to move up into that 6th position? They are, and ahead of them now Steve Norbury and Scott Parnell. Well, there's the young Birchall brothers, Tom and Ben Birchall, the driver, and they're having a good ride here at Assen off the back of a good result at Castle Combe.
Would have expected those two to have qualified a little bit further up the grid than they did, but they're making life a little hard for themselves.
Yeah, and it's all action here in these opening laps of this round 3 of the World Sidecar Championship. Tim and Tristan Reeves just putting a little bit of distance on Andy Laidlow, but Stuart Muldoon, front row start again for the Scotsman, and he's coming under a bit of pressure from Pekka Pivarinta and Timo Cardiala there.
So at the moment there is 4 of them all scrapping for that 1st position. There's about 5 of them all scrapping for that 5th position. There is the Birchall boys, number 16, the 2 Brits, Ben and Tom Birchall, and the Birchall racing from Mansfield on the Suzuki powered 1000cc outfit. And I'm expecting those two probably to push their way a little bit further forward before this one's over.
Yeah, and there's Manan up the inside of Steve Norbury. Well, he had to stop that really quick round this new hairpin onto the back part of the circuit. Just about made it, did he? Is he past Norbury? We can't see in the background.
I don't think so.
4 leaders. Well, they're side by side. And pushing. Well, Norbury had to get a wheel on the grass there to avoid Manan, but Manan are now up into 5th position and clear of this group.
Mike Rocha chasing those two down with the 2 Birchall boys on that green outfit behind. So, as I said, we've got a 4-way scrap here for the win and about a 5-way scrap for the 5th place. So,
yeah, it looked like Birchall ahead of the local favourite Martin Van Gils. Martin normally with his son, and that's Rocha. Whoa, that was close.
Off your nose.
Yeah, Martin Van Gils riding with rent-a-passenger Mark Cox this weekend. Tony Van Gils, the normal passenger, still injured, hasn't ridden at all this season so far. And hopefully he'll be back at some stage, but Mark Cox doing a good job standing in, and Pavarinta making a little bit of a mistake there and dropping back slightly from these leading 3.
Fantastic spectacle for the crowd that have stayed here after MotoGP racing, and they have stayed in there thousands. You can see, no, I don't think anybody's moved. Car parks are still absolutely packed tight, so the Dutch enjoying their sidecar racing here at Assen, and quite a treat. Somebody's out.
That looks like number 46, Stuart Woodard and Wayne Stevens out of this one already. Laidlow's in the lead. Well, while we were looking at Woodard, Andy Laidlow has gone through and taken the lead. Now Tim and Tris looking back to see what's behind them, and the answer is that big green menacing machine of Stuart Muldoon. And there's the pass. Wow, just late into that corner and just threw it in sideways, didn't he? And
Speedway style, that was.
Certainly made sure he was going to stay ahead of Tim and Tris there.
Actually, I didn't know you could back a sidecar into a corner.
Oh yes, Kenny, it's no problem.
I've obviously been watching some of the MotoGP. Tim's coming back at him. Tim's coming back under brakes, and he does him.
Yeah, Tim and Tristan, even though they're carrying that 30 kilos, they don't like being in 2nd position, do they?
No. Do they weigh, when they weigh the machines, are they weighing the drivers as well, or is it all calculated along with the extra ballast?
Well, as Andy Laidlow and Patrick Farrance go back into the lead, it's calculated on the overall weights with driver, passenger, fuel and everything, so it's weighed without the kilos and with the kilos to make sure they're on there.
No, I was just wondering whether Tim and Tristan have gone on a strict diet over the last few weeks, knowing that they've got to carry extra 30 kilos.
Knowing Tim and Tristan, I would think so. Now, is Tim going to have a look up the inside? Not quite. Not quite. This first part of the track that they've just been through there, as I said earlier, the rider's not really happy with it. It's completely changed the flow of this Assen circuit. Very tight and twisted the first part, and now out into the flat out opening sections here. Tim and Tris still looking for another way back past Andy Laidlow and Patrick Farrance. Stuart Muldoon, Paul Napton still hanging on there in 3rd position. Pekka Pivarinta and Timo Cardiala closed back up again, so it's still that 4-way scrap for the lead.
I got to say, I reckon Paverinta is thinking about this, you know. I think he fancies top 3, if not top 2, if even the win.
Yeah, for sure, and it's a great combination with Timo Cardiala there. Used to ride with his brother Tero in the World Championship, been out of it for a couple of years, first event back, so yeah, doing well to gel straight away with Pekka Piverinta. Lalo again, right on the back wheel of Tim and Tristan Reeves. Just look at the machine snaking through that flat-out left-right kink as the leaders are heading in towards the final chicane. It's 3 abreast, Muldoon up inside, and there's contact. Tim and Tristan Reeves out in the dirt.
They got the worst of that one.
It certainly did, and Muldoon's got a problem. Well, that was contact, definitely. Muldoon went up the inside of Andy Laidlow. Laidlow was trying to go up the inside of Tim and Tristan Reeves, and 3 into 1 didn't go. Oh, Tim and Tristan Reeves struggling as well now. Well, they're not actually happy with Stuart Muldoon there, are they?
Don't quite know why Stuart's pulled over, whether he has a problem after that or whether he's just trying to make amends.
And that's Ben and Tom Birchall now passing Tim and Tristan Reeves, so they've dropped down to about 7th position. And hopefully we'll get a bit of a replay. Tim and Tristan Reeves got a problem.
Now, did they make contact? They went on to the gravel, so everybody's checking everybody. I think he's got his head down again.
Yeah, it was a bit of a conversation. Here we see it again. Stuart Muldoon up the inside of Laidlow, as Laidlow then goes up the inside of Tim Tristan Reeves. Muldoon gets squeezed onto the curbs and on the grass and then comes back, and there's definite contact between the two. And Tim and Tristan Reeves nearly colliding once again with Stuart Muldoon as he's about to retire from the race. But that leaves Andy Laidlow and Patrick Farrance now in all that confusion in a bit of a commanding lead as Tero Manan passes his teammate Pekka Piverinta. So Piverinta obviously had to slow to take some avoiding action there as well.
So the two Finns now 2nd and 3rd chasing down the Brit. Well, it's all action, and I'll just kind of work out what the problem is with Muldoon or even with Reeves. What could they have damaged?
Well, fairing, bodywork damage, or even some tyres.
Oh, Andy Laidlow, I think, has decided all his Christmases have come at once.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not sure he was aware at the time of what was going on behind him, but he was going through into the lead whatever and let the rest of them sort it out.
I'm sure they will afterwards in the paddock.
Yeah, and there's Tero Manan putting a heavy move on the tail ender Andy Percy there. Well, obviously Manan now can see Andy Laidlow. Manan's come through from about 8th position on the opening lap, now up into 2nd place, and he's really got the bit between his teeth, hasn't he?
Well, that back marker moved over this time nicely. Wasn't asked to, he just did, so that's a pretty wise choice.
And Andy Percy's been out at early stages of this one, fixing a broken gear lever in the pit lane, so he's rejoined the race. But there is Pekka Piverinta and Timo Cardiala in 3rd position. This is now the question: can Tero Manan do anything about Andy Laidlow and Patrick Farrance ahead of him?
It was Finns that were 1 or 2 after round 1, and are we going to see a change at the top of the leaderboard after round 3? I have a feeling we are indeed going to see a change.
Yeah, we need to see whether Tim and Tristan Reeves have managed to continue in this race so far, as Andy Laidlow and Patrick Farrance gets his head down. And now that's about a 6-second lead at this stage. Well, it really did put the cat amongst the pigeons, that final chicane incident, didn't it?
Well, that's what it's there for, of course, to slow people down, and it's done the job. But these sidecars are a little bit wider than solo machines by about ×2, I think. So, as you said, 3 into 1 don't go, and Mr. Muldoon, I think, was squeezing a bit tight there.
Yeah, for sure, and that looked like Tim and Tristan Reeves there, so they're still in the race.
Yep.
Ahead of them is Mike Rocher and Adolf Harney, and I think Rocher and Harney are in 5th position at the moment. So Tim and Tristan in 6th place. Well, it's important they continue in this and pick up as many points as possible. I think the win is by far way out of their reach at the moment. Rocher looking over to see who's behind him. You can see that big menacing Boeing 747 style fairing of the Eastern Airways machine right in view. And there is Tero Manan and Pekka Koismanen still charging towards Andy Laidlow and Patrick Farrance.
Oh, upside down, that looks like 45. That is 45.
That's Andy Percy. Andy Percy has binned it at the, looks like the left-hand hairpin. Gently, boys, as you put it down. Very good. Well, everybody looks okay from that one. Let's just get the machine off the track, please.
Especially where they are at the moment. Here's our race leader. It's still Andy Laidlow, Patrick Farrance in the chair. And if they keep this all together and keep three wheels on the tarmac, they're looking at top points. And this is this the second Grand Prix win I think they've ever had?
No, this will be their debut win if they can keep this up. They've been on the podium 3 or 4 times
last
now.
Year, yeah.
But no, never had a win, and I know Andy is desperate to get that first win under his belt. Number 88, Taro Manan and Pekka Koisman, of course, won the opening round this year. Pekka Pivarinta, 3 wins last year and a win in the opening round this year. So between them, the Finnish teammates, 5 race wins already. Andy Laidlow, none. So can he redress the balance slightly?
Certainly a change in sidecar racing form for this year, because normally in the past we've seen people like Steve Webster roar off with it. Was chased, of course, at the early stages of last year by Tim Reeves, and of course the year before by Tim Reeves. But things have changed, and it's now evened up a little bit, and we've got about 5 outfits, all with a chance of maybe lifting that crown.
Yeah, certainly. It depends on the day and on the different tracks, but there's at least half a dozen crews capable of taking a win at any of the World Championship meetings. And as we can see, it doesn't always go well for the favourites, Tim and Tristan Reeves.
No, so sidecar racing certainly becoming more open, so therefore more exciting and more attractive to come and watch. Nobody likes that runaway scenario, but there's the number 11 outfit going through there of Moser.
Yeah, and they're being chased by Gary and Dan Knight, and the yellow machine in the background, Billy Galros and Johnny Briggs. Galros not having a great season so far, and hopefully he can pick the pace up towards the end of the year. But Jos Moser, the Austrian, going well, as is Gary and Dan Knight.
Billy Garros, of course, another team, Eastern Airways, listed here as GBR from Great Britain, because we all know Billy Garros isn't British.
Yeah, the Swede, a member of the British Eastern Airways squad, but at the moment down in the top 10. And that's Gordon Shannon, Stuart Graham on the number 26 machine, just pulling out of the race. A disappointment for the Kawasaki runner, but it's the Suzuki GSXR LCR machine of Andy Laidlow and Patrick Farrance, ahead of the similar machine of Taro Manan and Pekka Koisman, and lighting up that rear tyre around this triple apex right-hander at the back of the circuit.
And that gap has definitely decreased.
Yeah, for sure. There's the back marker Jan Beavers we just saw in the background. I don't know whether that had any bearing on the matter, but Manan is closing in.
Well, it's going to go down to the wire. I'm fairly sure they're going to be alongside each other for that checkered flag, but it'll be interesting to see exactly where the defending champions, Tim and Tristan Reeves, the two brothers, are. They were back in, about 5th, behind that 55 outfit of Mike Rocha, but have they managed to get past? Have they moved any further up the leaderboard?
Yeah, we wait looking down the track, and there are Jan Beavers just going a lap behind Pekka Pivarinta and Timo Kartiala. So Pivarinta still holding on to that 3rd position at the moment. This circuit, newly laid, first part of the circuit, very hard on front tyres apparently, so I've been told through qualifying. So maybe Laidlow suffering a bit with tyres. And here's the battle, Richard Gatt and Steve Norbury. So Gatt making up a lot of ground, and Norbury's on the dirt. He spun it. Oh my word.
And it's on and off. He managed to save that almost. Does he realise he's lost the passenger? Now he does.
Does now. Well, that's Scott Parnell, passenger to Steve Norbury, out of the Lockside Racing machine. Down on the ground, receiving some attention there. Well, that was just a half spin. The machine shot across the track, and well, a bit of wall of death up the bank there, wasn't it?
I reckon he did well to stop that from going over the top. That was a great save by the driver, but unfortunately the passenger didn't fare so well.
Yeah, I think just winded a little bit, looking at by the way he fell there. So now Laidlow and Farrance still leading, but well, look at that gap now. Manan, he's got the gap down to about 1 second. Well, it's less than that, isn't it?
He's got the bit between his teeth, has this Finn, in these closing stages of the race here from round 3 of this World Sidecar Series. Andy Laidlow, the Brit, out front at the moment after making what can only describe as a lucky pass on the early 2 front runners, which of course Stuart Muldoon and Tim Reeves. Reeves is still in it. Not sure about Muldoon. I think he's out of it now, but we have to say that the Finn's possibly a favourite to take the win here at this 3rd round.
Yeah, and of course this plays into the hands of the Team Suzuki Finland squad as well by taking more points from Eastern Airways in the Team Challenge Championship. So they already lead that at the moment, and they're going to extend that lead by the looks of things at the end of this race.
Well, Andy Laidlow's not going to give this up without a fight, that's for sure. The young gutsy Brit who sold his house and everything in the UK last year to go sidecar racing full time. Basically, they live out of the camper, and well, the man wants to be a champion, and that's the way to do it. 101% and all your money commitment.
Yeah, sure, and it's so demoralising times at the moment for the driver in this position. You see your pit board, +5 seconds, +4, +3, you know, somebody's coming and you're on the limit. There's not a lot you can do about it. Just try and hold him off, and they are now nose to tail. And this definitely looks like a pass is going to happen soon. And whether Laidlow can then fight back or not, or can he hold him off?
He lights up that back tyre every time.
Certainly giving that Yokohama some real abuse through that section of the track.
I'll tell you what, at that point, if Farrance had had a duster, he could have polished the nose cone of that machine behind him.
Or kicked it.
He was literally parked in the tray with him. Holy smoke. But they pulled a small gap. Maybe that exuberance with the throttle is cooking that rear tyre and he's losing grip. He's going to have a look up the inside.
Well, he's took that wide sweeper line. He's through. Throws it into the chicane. Well, a nice clean pass there from Manan and Koismanen. Now, can Andy Laidlow fight back? He knew the challenge was coming, couldn't do anything about it. Can he fight back into turn one? Not close enough at this point.
Well, I don't think he's given up. He's closing the gap again.
There's third position, Pekka Pivarenta. He's challenging. Oh, got his nose chopped off there by Manan, and now Laidlow's got the tyre smoking. Well, that's just the throttle wound to the stop as far as it can go. Now, back markers in front of the two leaders. Big slide from Manan, and these guys, well, they're absolutely on the limit and over it.
It's Fuchel, the back marker, that's about to go a lap down on the two race leaders. Now Fuchel, now they look so they know they're there. They've moved over, good choice.
This fast chicane, right, left, sliding out of there, Manan. Just absolutely nailed, and he's drawn a bit of a gap on Andy Laidlow. We're coming into the final half of this lap.
He has got the bit between his teeth. There's no doubt about that. Andy Laidlow needs to respond, and he needs to do it now if he's going to get his maiden win. The young Brit.
As they come into this final section, it's the long looping right, then the flat-out flip-flop right-lefts. One more real passing opportunity, and that is the final chicane where we've seen so much action already. And they're approaching it now. They've got the right-left kink before the flat-out left-hander into the chicane. Laidlow's closing.
He's having to think about this. This might be suicidal if he does it, but he's definitely having to think about it. I don't think he's close enough.
It's going to be late on the brakes into the chicane. I don't think it's it. This is it through the final chicane. And it's going to be Manan and Koismanen that take that checkered flag and their second victory of 2006.
Well, I win the bet because what did I say earlier on in the
programme? And there's
programme?
Tim and Tristan Reeves, and they're right up behind Pekka Pivarenta and Tero Kartiala. But it's going to be Pivarenta that takes third position, and they're happy with that one. Tim and Tristan Reeves there in fourth position. Mike Rosher and Adolf Harney take fifth. Martin Van Gils, the local, in sixth. Richard Gatt and Paul Randall, good ride back to seventh. Ben and Tom Birchall, eighth position. Gary and Dan Knight, ninth, and Jos Moser in 10th.
Well, for the first time I think this season we've not seen Reevesy on the podium.
Tero Manan on the right there, Pekka Koismanen on the left.
Yeah, he can blow.
Exhausted.
That was some kind of race.
Oh, what a great feeling for these guys to be in front of this huge crowd. And there's the champagne.
Why are the girls wearing crash helmets?
Tim and Tristan Reeves still lead the standings by 17 points from Tero Manan and Pekka Koismanen. Laidlow and Farrance, another second position keeps them third. Pekka Pivarenta fourth. In the team standings, it's Team Suzuki Finland that extend their lead over the Eastern Airways team, with Andy Laidlow's LFR Racing team in third position.
Well, the next round comes from Sachsenring in Germany again with MotoGP. We'll see you there for more top-class sidecar action.